One of the biggest questions heading into the NBA draft is what the Lakers are going to do with the 55th overall pick. At first glance, that might seem like an insignificant spot in the draft order. And historically, players picked that late don't usually become stars. But in the modern NBA, especially with teams like the Lakers, who are constantly chasing titles and need reliable depth at low cost, even a late second round pick can become a key rotation piece if the scouting department gets it right. And this year, there's a real opportunity to find someone with immediate value, especially on the wing. When we look at the Lakers' current roster, it's clear that outside of needing a consistent starting caliber center, the biggest hole is in that wing position. A versatile defender who can knock down threes and guard multiple positions. The NBA has evolved into a positionless league, and having guys between 6'6" and 6'9" who can do a bit of everything is a premium. You cannot have too many of those players. They're the glue guys, the role players who make life easier for the stars and give you lineup flexibility. And more importantly, they're the kind of players you need in the playoffs. Guys who don't get played off the court, who can hold their own on switches, and who hit open shots when defenses collapse on the stars. That's why, if it were up to me, I'd be using that 55th pick to chase a wing with that 3-and-D upside rather than a developmental big man. Because the truth is, most centers available late in the second round are long-term projects. You're not drafting someone who's going to step in and give you 20 minutes a night from day one. You're betting on potential, and while that's fine, the Lakers are in win-now mode. They need guys who can fill minutes next season, especially when injuries inevitably pile up, or when the veterans need rest. That's not to say they should completely ignore the center position. Ideally, they'll use other assets to go out and get a starting caliber big, maybe someone like a Nick Claxton, or even a Gafford type player. But in terms of the draft, this is the perfect spot to take a swing on a wing. One name that jumps out to me is Sion James out of Duke. Now, full transparency, I'm a Duke guy, so maybe there's some bias here, but I've watched a lot of his games, and I genuinely believe he fits exactly what the Lakers need. He's 6'6", around 220 pounds, and built like a tank. This guy is strong, physical, and not afraid to use his body on either end of the court. He's not just some raw athlete. He's polished, experienced, and plays with a maturity that's rare for someone in his position. At 22 years old, he's not the youngest guy in the draft. And that's precisely what makes him appealing for a team like the Lakers. They've consistently targeted older college players who are more ready to contribute. Think about Austin Reeves. Think about Caruso, Josh Hart, even Larry Nance Jr. These were guys who came into the league with a defined skill set and quickly carved out roles. Sion James could be that next name on the list. He's not a guy who's going to wow you with flash, but he's rock solid in a lot of areas. He's an exceptional ball handler for his size, which allows him to serve as a secondary playmaker when needed. He's not someone you'd want running your offense, but he's more than capable of making smart decisions with the ball, pushing in transition, and finding the open man. That alone gives him value, especially on a team that will often stagger. Stars like LeBron James and Anthony Davis and needs complementary players who can keep the offense flowing. Offensively, what really stands out is his shooting, specifically his catch and shoot numbers. In college, he hit 50% of his spot-up threes, which is a huge number. Now no one's expecting him to come into the NBA and shoot 50% from deep. The line is farther, the defenders are quicker, the pressure is higher. But if he can shoot somewhere in the low to mid 40s on catch and shoot opportunities, that's an absolute weapon. And with guys like LeBron and possibly Luka Doncic, depending on how trades shake out, creating open looks, Sion James is going to get a ton of clean shots. His job will be simple: space the floor, be ready to catch and fire, and play tough defense. That's a role he's already familiar with and one he could step into on day one. Defensively, there's a lot to like. He's physical, he moves his feet well, and he's got the kind of body that doesn't get pushed around easily. He's got a good lower center of gravity, and he understands how to stay in front of his man without fouling. In college, he often took on the challenge of guarding the opposing team's best perimeter scorer, and he didn't back down. That kind of mentality is exactly what you want in a role player. He's not the kind of guy that gets played off the court in the playoffs because he can't hold his own. In fact, I think he's the type of player who gets more valuable in a playoff setting. A guy you trust to give you 10 to 15 high energy minutes when the game tightens up. Now, there are reasons why someone like Zion James would still be available at 55. The biggest one is that he's not elite in any one area. He's not the most athletic player in the draft. He's not an elite shooter, and he's not a lockdown defender. But he's solid across the board, and sometimes that's more important. He's not a project. He's someone who can play a role right now without needing a year or two in the G League. He also comes from a prestigious program, one that plays under the national spotlight and demands excellence. That matters. You're not wondering how he'll respond to pressure. He's already played in big games, in packed arenas, and against top competition. And let's talk about the age factor for a second. There's this tendency in the draft world to get overly obsessed with potential. Teams get hypnotized by 18-year-olds with a 7-foot wingspan and freakish athleticism, hoping to mold them into the next superstar. But for teams like the Lakers, that approach doesn't make a lot of sense. They don't have time to wait 3 or 4 years for a guy to develop. They need production now. That's where someone like Zion James becomes so valuable. He's young enough to still grow and improve, but old enough to understand his role and execute it from day one. If you look around the league, you see former Lakers second-round picks and undrafted guys thriving everywhere. Josh Hart in New York, Caruso in Chicago, Ivica Zubac playing key minutes for the Clippers, even Julius Randle, who was a lottery pick but developed in LA. These guys are proof that the Lakers scouting department knows what it's doing, and Zion James could be the next chapter in that story. A hard-nosed, high IQ player who doesn't need the ball in his hands to make an impact. He can rebound from the guard position, he can handle the ball in transition, and he's comfortable switching on defense. That versatility is huge. A lot of people will ask, if he's that good, why isn't he a first rounder? And the answer is simple. He's not elite at any one thing, but that doesn't mean he's not valuable. He has a clear NBA skill set. He just needs the right system, the right opportunity, and the right coaching to maximize it. The Lakers have a track record of doing that. And with veterans like LeBron James, a guy like Zion would be able to learn from one of the greatest minds in basketball. Add in other mentors like Dorian Finney-Smith or even Jared Vanderbilt. Players who thrive on hustle and defensive effort, and you've got a perfect environment for development. He's got a strong first step. He's able to put his head down and get to the basket when needed, and he finishes through contact. He might not be a go-to scorer, but that's not what you need from the 55th pick. What you need is someone who plays hard, defends with pride, and doesn't make mistakes. If he can do that, and I think he can, then you've got yourself a steal. There's also upside. If things click, he could become a 12-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist type of player. Not necessarily next year, but in a couple seasons. That's not superstar numbers, but it's the kind of production that championship teams need from their role players. At the end of the day, the Lakers need young, cheap, versatile contributors with limited cap space and possibly only a taxpayer, mid-level exception to work with. They're going to have to get creative to build out the roster. That means the draft becomes even more important. You've got Bronny James potentially fighting for minutes. You've got guys like Gabe Vincent who may or may not be part of the long-term plan. There's a lot of uncertainty. But one thing is for sure. If the Lakers can find a wing like Zion James at 55, a guy who fits their needs and is ready to go from day one, that's a massive win. And that's why I keep coming back to him. Not because he's flashy, not because he's going to be an all-star, but because he's exactly the kind of player that fits the mold of what the Lakers need right now, and what they've always done a good job identifying. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. In a twist that could shake the NBA landscape, whispers around the league suggest that Kevin Durant may have quietly given a green light to join in the Los Angeles Lakers. While no official statements have been made and no deals are on paper, insiders close to the situation have begun to stir the pot, hinting at the possibility that Durant is open, if not eager, to don the purple and gold next season. Sources claim that behind closed doors, Durant has expressed interest in teaming up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis in what would instantly become one of the most formidable trios in recent NBA history. The rumor mill started spinning after a reportedly private dinner in Los Angeles, where Durant was seen with a high-ranking Lakers executive. Though details of the meeting remain under wraps, The speculation gained traction when Durant, uncharacteristically coy in a recent interview, didn't deny the idea of playing in LA, saying instead, "You never know what the future holds." This isn't the first time Durant's name has been linked with the Lakers. However, the timing now feels more real than ever, with the Suns facing internal restructuring and questions surrounding their long-term viability as contenders. Durant's potential exit suddenly seems plausible. The Lakers, for their part, have never hidden their desire to bring another superstar to LA as LeBron enters the twilight of his legendary career. League executives are reportedly already crunching numbers trying to envision how a potential sign and trade or blockbuster deal might unfold. Social media is abuzz with hypothetical lineups and imagined championship parades. Though nothing concrete has emerged, still the buzz is deafening. Could Kevin Durant truly be eyeing Hollywood? Is a super team revival in the making? For now, it's all speculation, but in the NBA, where smoke often precedes fire, the possibility alone is enough to set the stage for a dramatic offseason. Stay tuned. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.